let's go ahead and go through the notes. Okay, so where did we leave off? Can we put the books and headphones away, please, now? Books and headphones away. Don't want to say it again, please. Okay, where did we leave off talking about on Wednesday and Thursday, Javier? Okay, we talked about during his presidency, but what did Washington say actually? He decided not to run for a third term, right? And he wrote or said his what did he write? Or I guess not technically he wrote, but his farewell address. Okay, and so with Washington not running now for a third term, who's going to be president? Right? That's kind of our main thing. So we have here the election of 1796. Okay. Forgot I have to click both. Okay. So more than one candidate ran for president for the first time. I mean, makes sense. This is the second time we're trying to look for a president, right? Okay. So we have political parties starting to form during this election. I mean, we saw this coming, especially with who? Which two people did we see this coming through? Hamilton and Jefferson, right? With them having such opposing views, we saw, remember when we did that chart, I kind of said this really is what started political parties, right? Them having opposing ideas. And so we get political parties, and if we didn't know, political parties are groups that help elect people, and they shape policies. They share policies. That's supposed to be share. Make sure that says share. I'm going to change that. Okay. There we go. Okay. So they share policies. They share opinions. So we have two parties. We have the Federalist Party and the Democratic Republican Party. Okay. So these are actually two different parties than we have now. Okay. They're two different parties. If we wanted to, we can probably, looking at those two parties, kind of say, okay, this party probably would lean more towards this party now, and so forth. But I just want to make sure this is known that these are actually two different political parties than we have now. What? Yeah, these are not parties anymore. Okay, so even though it says Democratic Republican, it is not the same party. I mean, look, it's both of them put together, but not really. All right. All right, so let's look at the Federalist Party. So on your notes, right, we have a chart. Okay, I made a chart where we're comparing the two different parties. Okay, so let's just look at the Federalist Party right now. Okay, so we have the founder being Alexander Hamilton. Okay, makes sense. He promoted a strong federal government, right? He said that the government needed a strong central or federal government. Right? Remember, he's one of the people that wrote the Federalist Papers. Okay? So he is pretty much the founder of the Federalist Party. He, remember, wanted to promote industry and trade. That's how he said that the economy was going to grow, is if they promoted manufacturing, industry, trade. In the 1796 election, okay, the candidates are John Adams and Thomas Pinckney. Okay, this is for the 1796 election, and mainly the supporters of this party are going to be business people in cities. Makes sense. Look at the connection. This party is promoting industry, business, and trade, right? So if they're promoting that, they're supporting that, guess who's going to support them then? The same people who this party is promoting. Make sense? Okay. All right, let's look at the next party. The Democratic Republican Party. Okay, founders are going to be Thomas Jefferson and James Madison. Okay, makes sense. Both of them are founders. They're both from Virginia. Okay? Remember, they wanted a limited government, federal government, as in they wanted more power to the states. Right? They didn't want the federal, that central government having too much power. So in the 1796 election, we have the candidates being Thomas Jefferson and Aaron Burr. What? Yes, Aaron Burr is the guy who shot Alexander Hamilton. Okay, their supporters, the people who really mainly supported this Democratic Republican Party, are the farmers in isolated areas. Again, this makes sense because if you think back to lesson 2 when we were doing the comparison, right, between Hamilton and Jefferson, remember we talked about Jefferson said that they need to be more promoting farmers, right? That's why there needed to be a lower tariff, so it would help the farmers out. So again, it makes sense. The people that the party is promoting, the people the party is saying we need to make sure, promote more, those are the supporters. So John Adams won the election of 1796, which then meant that Thomas Jefferson became vice president. Because remember, before the 12th Amendment happened, okay, whoever got the most electoral votes became president. Whoever got the second most became vice president. Yeah, how well do you think? Well, it's not even so much like looking at it that way. It's just getting two people who think very differently working together is hard. It's very difficult, right? Okay, and so getting two people who think opposing views, trying to get one job done is very difficult, right? Think about it in your own head. Trying to work with someone who you guys don't agree. You guys butt heads a lot. How hard is that? Very hard, right? So, now we're in John Adams' presidency, okay? I want to make sure that is clear. So this is when John Adams now is president. Okay, so Great Britain and France were still at war. That didn't stop just because, right, John Adams is president now. However, now new things are going to start happening because a new president is in place, right? So, France actually then began seizing U.S. ships, taking U.S. ships, right? And so John Adams, he sent diplomats, people to talk to French leaders to Paris to try to negotiate a treaty to protect U.S. shipping. Right, so he's sending people to go to France and try to form a treaty and say, okay, we gotta figure this out, right? Because the United States is still trying to remain neutral during all of this. We good? Okay. So French Foreign Minister Talleyrand, he refused to speak with the U.S. diplomats that John Adams had sent, and he sent 3 French agents in his place, and this is why and President Adams called them Agents X, Y, and Z, and that's why we get this thing called the XYZ affair. He didn't give them names. He just called them Agents X, Y, and Z. We good? Okay. All right, we good now? Okay. So these agents stated that the foreign minister, the French foreign minister, Talleyrand, wanted a $250,000 bribe in exchange for a treaty, and then the French, on top of that, wanted a $12 million loan from the U.S. Yes, you're right. There is a ton of money. I mean, it's a ton of money now. Like, someone gave me that kind of money, $12 million. See you guys. I'm sorry, but right? Okay, I would not have to work. Although I'd get very, very bored. I'm not gonna lie. So, no, I wouldn't spend it. I would literally get really bored. So anyways, basically, these agents are giving a ridiculously amount of money to just get a treaty, right? Okay, not only, right, he's saying, like, you gotta, okay, give us $250,000 just as a bribe, but then on top of that, you gotta loan us $12 million. And a loan, yes, is technically, oh, we would pay you back, but I don't know about that, right? Okay, and so the Federalists, who is John Adams' party, remember, because John Adams is part of the Federalist Party, the Federalists that are in Congress are saying, right, we need to call for a war with France. Like, that is ridiculous of them trying to do that just to, so we're trying to form a treaty so we can still remain neutral, and they're doing that to us, right? They're kind of like making fun of us by saying all that. They're saying we need to call for a war. And so this XYZ affair really outraged the American public. Especially because John Adams, are we good on this? Yes? All right. That especially because John Adams did not want to declare war. So this is a big kind of main thing why the American public was outraged, because France, said all that, and Congress, the Federalists in Congress are demanding, like, say we need to declare war, but instead of asking Congress to declare war, Adams pretty much reopened peace talks with France, and they eventually signed a treaty, which was good, but this made his own party upset with him, right? Because his own party is saying, we need to declare war, we need to do this, and then John Adams didn't. His party is not going to back him up anymore now, right? And so John Adams just pretty much, because of this XYZ affair, really lost support of his own party. And if a president doesn't have support of his own party, that's not good, right? He's done. He's not going to get elected anymore. You good? Okay. So another thing in John Adams' presidency we have is called the Alien Sedition Acts. Okay, so in 1798, Congress passed 4 laws called the Alien and Sedition Acts to crush opposition to war. So, the Sedition Act, okay, it forbade anyone from publishing or voicing criticism of the federal government. Why? Why do you think it's illegal? What's the First Amendment? Freedom of speech, freedom of expression, right? This is saying that you can't say anything bad about the government. Isn't it? Yeah, it's going against, right, your First Amendment. Yeah. You good? So, right, like we just talked about, it basically canceled basic protections of freedom of speech and freedom of press too, right? So the First Amendment, remember, it's freedom of speech and press and 3 others, but speech and press kind of go hand in hand, because speech is more you talking right now, but then press can also, right, is in the newspaper. Or in our case, in our day of age now too, it's social media and all that. Yeah. Okay. Right, so we talked about how it basically went against our First Amendment. So we have the Kentucky and Virginia resolutions, right? So who do you think, pretty much, who in Congress wrote the Sedition Act? If it was targeted towards people who were against war with France. The Federalists wrote it, because if the Federalists want war, which party do you think doesn't want war? The Democratic Republic, right? And so we have the Kentucky and Virginia resolutions, who are going to be written by Thomas Jefferson and James Madison, basically the Democratic Republican Party, and they argued that these Alien Sedition Acts were unconstitutional because it interfered with state government, but then, right, it went against the Constitution. Okay, and so they supported the idea that states could challenge the federal government. So they're challenging, saying that the state governments have the right to challenge what the federal government puts out. You good? All right, that's it, I think. Yeah, okay. All right, so make sure, sorry, this is not going away. Make sure you guys submit your notes online. Okay, so we have one more set of notes, and they'll be tomorrow. Since tomorrow's NWEA testing, these notes are going to be similar concept of you filling in the blank, except you'll be using the textbook to find them. Okay, so same concept, still be pages. Okay, and don't forget your guys' test on this module 7 is Thursday. Okay, I will be posting a study guide for that today. Okay, a study guide will be posted today so that you have plenty of time. Right, so it's what day is today? Monday. So the test is Thursday. We'll review even on Wednesday. Okay, you have plenty of time to review. Sorry, someone in the group or the conference wants to go back to that. All right, so